जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. So we are continuing our discussion from the last session. And in the last session, the last topic which discussed was the purpose of Vedic literature and why Vyasdev comes to this world and gives us the Vedic literature. So the purpose was, we understood that Lord Chaitanya explains that the purpose is to transfer our thoughts, which is actually engrossed in the material energy. How is our thoughts are engrossed in material energy? By reading the newspapers or magazines or novels or watching the TV. And nowadays there are even more distractions, the YouTube. And of course, YouTube, what we are presenting this is through YouTube, but there are so many things which can distract our attention from spiritual energy to the material energy. So when we are engrossed in the material energy, then our mind is absorbed in those thoughts, because whatever we see, those thoughts always comes back to us in form of remembrance. So Prabhupada over here mentioned that what we should do is, instead of focusing our thoughts on the material energy, we should cultivate reading the Vedic literature, which is full of spiritual energy. So Vedic literatures like the Puranas, the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, Shrimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharat, and Bhagavad Gita, and many more, whatever we can. So cultivating here means, you have to uh, do it regularly, on the regular basis, like practically every day. And then gradually, as our understanding increase, our interest will also increase in reading those scriptures. So this is a purpose for which actually Vyasdev or Krishna comes as Vyasdev, and Krishna may give this to us through several other sages, and when we read them, then what happens is there is a possibility to remember Krishna, 24 by 7. That's the goal actually, to remember Krishna 24 by 7, so that when the time of death comes, we can remember Krishna. And if we remember Krishna at the time of death, Bhagavad Gita mentions we go, or we attain Krishna's nature, or actually we go back to the spiritual world. So that is the purpose. So with that purpose actually, then Krishna advises Arjuna in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what is Krishna's advice? That's what we were supposed to read today. So Krishna's advice to Arjuna. This is 8.7. So in that verse, Krishna says, in that way, it will be possible for us to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. Because this is the continuation of the previous paragraph. So in what way? So if we keep on reading the spiritual literature, so in that way, it is possible to remember the Supreme Lord at the time of death. That is the only way to suggested by the Lord, and He guarantees the result. There is no doubt. So this is Krishna's guarantee, that when you are absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna at the time of death, then you come back to Krishna, or go back to Krishna's spiritual planet, and then there is no doubt. We have to believe the words of Krishna, because he is saying that. So therefore Krishna is advising Arjuna, therefore tasmat. So tasmat means therefore. Sarveshu. Sarveshu means all the time. Kaleshu. Sarveshu means all. Kaleshu means time. So tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. What should you do all the time? Krishna is saying Mam anusmara yuddhacha. Means you remember me. So first he is advising that you remember me, and then you fight. This is the instruction to Arjuna. So Arjuna was supposed to fight, but for us, we are not like Kshatriyas or fighting like that, for the purpose of protecting Dharma. But our fight is like our day to day work, our activities which we do from morning till evening. So Krishna is saying, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara yuddhacha. So when we carry out our duty, before carrying out our duty, we have first remember Krishna, and basically we do the work in such a way that it is done to actually please Krishna. That's the whole purpose. And then Krishna is saying, Maya arpita mano buddhir. Then you offer your mind and intelligence. Mano means mind, buddhir means intelligence. You actually offer Maya arpita, means offer it to Krishna. And then when you do like that, then Krishna is saying, Mame vaishyasi asamsayaha. You will surely come to me. There is no doubt. So this particular promise Krishna is giving again and again. Mame vaishyasya samshaya. You will definitely come to me. You will 100% come to me. Because you are practicing this in your life. So even at the time of death, then that practice will come to our help. We will be able to do it. Otherwise, it's a difficult task, because then many other thoughts will cloud our mind when we are leaving this body. Actually, everything what we have collected in the whole life, it is we have to give it up at that point of time. Even if we lose one thing from our life, it's so difficult. Now think about that. We are losing everything at that point of time. So this is a most crucial moment of the life, and we have to depend on Krishna's mercy, and that is only possible if we have practiced in our life. So that's why Krishna is saying that Tasmat Sarveshu Kalesh, all the time, Ma Manusmar Yuddhacha. Think about me and fight. So the translation goes like this: Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time continue your prescribed duties of fighting. Because that was Arjuna's duty, as we discussed. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So this is the 8th chapter, 7th verse. Very important verse. So this is actually the solution to the discussion which was in 8.5.6, where Krishna is saying yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, whatever one thinks, which was this verse actually. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajatante kalevaram. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his present body, in his next life he will attain the same state without fail. So therefore Krishna is saying, therefore practice this while you are in this body. Now these animals, any other living entity, any other soul apart from the human beings doesn't have this opportunity. So it is a human life in which we have this facility. And then we study Shastras very systematically, very in detail, and then we understand what Krishna wants. So this is the presentation, for our understanding, that Krishna is telling to Arjuna that always think of me in the form of Krishna, carry out your prescribed duties, and then activities dedicated to Krishna, mind and intelligence fixed on Krishna, and then you will attain Krishna without doubt. So this is the whole purpose of actually studying Gita. If we are able to achieve this at the end of life, then our life is successful. Otherwise, we again start from the point where we stopped. So it's not that everything is gone, but whatever we have done in this life, we begin from that point in our next life. He does not advise Arjuna to simply remember him and give up his occupation. So Prabhupada is adding this. So Krishna is very practical, because we are living in this world. So we have to live, we have to maintain this body. So he is not saying that give up your occupation actually. No, the Lord never suggests anything impractical. He is suggesting something very practical actually. And it is possible to do. Arjuna was able to do. And then, of course, Arjuna is in association with Krishna. But in this world also we see that there are many devotees who work in this consciousness. This is the internal consciousness. It's a consciousness of the soul. So it is not something which is seen from outside. But of course, you can guess that person is by his behavior, his or her behavior. You can guess something, but this is internal actually, and this needs to be cultivated. This doesn't happen automatically. So Prabhupada continues this discussion. In this material world, in order to maintain the body, one has to work. Human society is divided according to work into 4 divisions of social order: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So these divisions are done by Krishna himself in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. 13th verse, Krishna is saying, Chaturvarnam Maya system. This is the verse. Chaturvarnam Maya system Guna Karma Vibhagasha Tasya Kartaram Apimam Vidhi Akartaram Avyayam. What it means is this Chaturvarna means 4 varnas. The 4 divisions of human society are created by the Lord himself. This is not man-made. The caste system which we see in India, these are actually not man-made, but it is now translated into some man-made conclusions, like and I'll discuss that. Let's read this first. And so here, what the way Krishna divided it is according to the 3 modes of material nature and work associated with them. The 4 divisions of human society are created by me. So this is based on guna and karma. It is not based on janma karma. Meaning, the Brahmana's son is not necessarily will be a Brahmana. So the Brahmana or the Kshatriya, Brahmana is educated class, Kshatriya is warrior class, Vaishya is business class, and Shudra is a worker class. So these are 4 divisions, and it is existing in this current system also. You go to any country, these 4 classes of people are there. But it is not what the way Krishna divided was. It is not based on janma. In India right now, the system is Brahmana's son is by default is assumed as Brahmana. No, it's so. This is not what Krishna meant. Krishna means Brahmana by qualification or Kshatriya by qualification. Like for example, a soldier's son is not necessarily will become a soldier, or a doctor's son not necessarily become a doctor, or a lawyer's son doesn't have to be a lawyer. So they have to qualify for being a lawyer or a doctor or a Kshatriya or a Brahmana. And that qualification is based on the activity, guna and karma. Right? So work associated with them and the 3 modes in which the person is acting. So that's how Krishna divided. The 4 divisions of human society are created by me. Means this Chaturvarna Maya system means I created it. Krishna created it. And although I am the creator, Krishna is saying that although he is a creator, you should know that I am yet a non-doer, being unchangeable. So even though Krishna is the creator of something, he is not affected by the creation. He has done it, and then the system runs on its own. When we'll go into this chapter, this verse, we'll go into more details about what this particular line means. But at this point of time, let's understand that this system was actually created by Krishna. Right? The Brahmana class or intelligent class is working in one way. The Kshatriya or administrative class is working in another way. And the mercantile class or businessman class and the laborers are all tending to their specific duties. In the human society, whether one is a laborer, merchant, administrator, or farmer, or even one belongs to the highest class, meaning the educated Brahmana class, and is a literary man or a scientist or a theologian, he has to work in order to maintain his existence. So whether you are in any of the classes, you have to work. That's the point. You have to earn your bread by some work. So what Krishna is saying, the Lord therefore tells Arjuna that he did not give up his occupation. But while he is engaged in his occupation, he should remember Krishna. So this is the most important point, that Krishna doesn't recommend, or spiritual life doesn't mean we have to give up our activities. Because, that's a misconception people have, that, when we take to spirituality, you have to give up things. or when we'll become old and we don't have anything to do, then we take to spiritual life. No, that is not what Krishna is advising. Whatever you are doing, you keep on doing the same thing, same actions, or in whatever varna. It doesn't matter, whether you are Brahmana, you are Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. But you add Krishna to whatever work which you are doing. If he doesn't practice remembering Krishna while he is struggling for existence, then it will not be possible for him to remember Krishna at the time of death. Because death is the greatest struggle of life. The biggest struggle that happens in the life is the time of death. So enough we are not practicing this remembrance of Krishna while we are struggling every day, then at the time of death we will not be able to remember Krishna. Therefore Lord Chaitanya also advises this. He says Kirtaniya Sadahari, means you always chant the name of the Lord. One should practice chanting the name of the Lord always. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Krishna also says that in Bhagavad Gita. Always chant my name. The names of the Lord and the Lord are non-different. So the name of the Lord, Krishna, when we say the word Krishna and actually Krishna, they are absolute. Absolute means the word water and the water, actually they are two different things. But when we say Krishna, means actually Krishna is present. So this is something, which you learn new in spirituality. So Krishna and his name, they are non-different and equally purifying, actually. So Lord Krishna's instruction to Arjuna is to remember me, and Lord Chaitanya's injunction to always chant the Lord names of Lord Krishna are the same instruction, actually. So Lord Chaitanya teaches the same message, actually, what Krishna has spoken in Bhagavad Gita. But the Lord Chaitanya came here 500 years back, approximately, and then he showed us the method how to attain Krishna. The Lord Krishna himself came as Lord Chaitanya, and then he showed us how to go back to Godhead. Right? So this is what Lord Chaitanya did, and he is a Yuga avatar. The purpose of there are 6 categories of avatars, and one of the categories is Yuga avatar. So the purpose for which the Yuga avatar comes is to establish Yuga Dharma. So Yuga Dharma is the process by which one can go back to Godhead. What is the dharma one need to practice? That is the Yuga Dharma, to go back to Godhead, and that is given by Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, there is no difference between Krishna and Krishna's name, as they are non-different. In the absolute status, there is no difference between the reference and the referent. Yeah. Therefore, we have to practice remembering Lord always 24 hours a day by chanting his name and molding our life activities in such a way that we can remember him always. So this is the purpose of the instruction which is given by Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya is giving the same instruction, that Kirtaniya Sadahari. We always chant or always remember Krishna, and the easiest way to do is by chanting his name. Now how is that possible? So there is an example. So this is, sometimes scriptures gives an example which is very striking, in a way that we may think why scriptures are giving this kind of example. But this kind of examples are given so that we remember. So let's read this example, and it looks like a little controversial, but this will help us remember how to remember Krishna. This will help us, or this is easy way to explain how to remember Krishna. So that's why this example is given. How is that possible? The Acharyas give the following example. If a married woman is attached to another man, or if a man has an attachment for a woman other than his wife, then the attachment is to be considered very strong. So this happens in this material world. We cannot avoid this kind of things. And anything related to men and women, this is the topic of most discussed, or at least most thought in the material world. So if a man is attached to another woman who is not his wife, or if or otherwise, if a woman is attached to a man who is not a husband, then what happens, that kind of attachment is actually very strong. One with such an attachment is always thinking of the loved one. The wife who is thinking of her lover is always thinking of meeting him even while she is carrying out the household chores. In fact, she carries out her household work even more careful so her husband will not suspect the attachment. Similarly, we should always remember the Supreme Lover, Sri Krishna, and at the same time perform our material duties very nicely. So, this mundane example is used to give us an idea that you can think of something when you're attached, you are too much attached. So, the same thing that is going on at least some people are doing that in this material world. When they have this kind of attachment, they can think of their lover, of their counterpart, and they can continue to do their work. So that kind of strong attachment must be for Krishna. A strong sense of love is required here. If we have a strong sense of love for Supreme Lord, then we can discharge our duty at the same time remember him. So this is the key point. A strong love has to be developed for Krishna. In the case of that women loving another person, other than the husband, there is a love, a strong love. So similarly over here, we have to cultivate strong love for Krishna. How do we cultivate? We can cultivate that by hearing about Krishna and chanting. So hearing and remembering and chanting about Krishna, when we do that, automatically the love for that person develops. When we hear great characteristics of that person, then automatically that love is developed. So this is a cultivation. Cultivation means you have to work towards it. But we have to develop that sense of love, that we have to work on it. Arjuna, for instance, was always thinking of Krishna. He was the constant companion of Krishna, and at the same time, he was a warrior. Krishna did not advise him to give up fighting and go to the forest to meditate. So that was not Krishna's mood, or not the instruction actually. So this is the presentation in a PowerPoint form, and a quick summary. In the human society, there are 4 divisions of social orders: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. And all of them, when remembering Krishna, perform their duty, then it is possible to remember Krishna at the time of death. Right? And how is that possible? Develop strong sense of love for Krishna. And the example was a married woman attached, or a married man attached to another woman. So the next topic is that there are different processes. One process is what we have discussed now, which is remembering Krishna directly. And actually, developing, cultivating love for Krishna by serving him. So in this world, we can serve the Lord in person by serving the deities in the temple. So normally when you go to the ISKCON temple, there are deities. They are not actually idols. Idols means they have no life. But deities means those murtis which you see in the temple. They are actually, the Lord is requested to come there, and then Lord is present there actually. So that is why they are called as deities. And then like we serve a person, like we serve a king, similarly there is a service which happens around the Lord. So everything which is going around in the temple is the center of that attraction of the temple is actually the Lord. So whatever you do, right from the early morning, you offer some food, and then you dress the deities, and then you again offer some breakfast. So that kind of services goes on for the deity, because the Lord is a person, and the Lord in that form is called as Archa Vigraha. It's a form. It's a form of wood or stone, and it is authorized form of the Lord. It is given in the scriptures, in the Vedas. And this is the most merciful form of the Lord. So the Lord gives opportunity to all the conditioned soul to come and serve Him. So where it is a good practice to go and visit the temple and see the form or absorb the form of the Lord in the mind. And then when we do our work, then remember that form, and then you can continue to do the work. So that way gradually you develop attachment for the Lord and the love for the Lord. But then there are other ways. There's something called as yoga process. Yoga means linking, and linking, the link between us and the Lord is broken. So the yoga process helps us rebuild that link, right? Reconnect ourselves with the Lord. So the process which we have described right now, that remembering Krishna and performing yoga duties and those kind of things, this is called as a bhakti yoga process. But then there are other yoga processes. So one of them is called as Ashtanga yoga process. So in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this Ashtanga yoga process is described by Krishna. And it is very difficult for people in this day and age to perform that because it is very austere. So Ashtanga yoga process is difficult to perform in this age. This is what Prabhupada is going to say. Actually not Prabhupada, Krishna is saying. And then even Arjuna is saying. Towards the end of 6th chapter, Arjuna is saying that it is very, very difficult for me to control the mind, because one of the most important thing in the Ashtanga yoga process is to control of the mind. Of course, this is also important in Bhakti yoga process. But in the Ashtanga yoga process, it's more difficult. So Arjuna is saying that I can control wind, I can control air, I can control all these elements, but I cannot control my mind. It is very difficult. So if it's difficult for Arjuna, think about us. We are like nowhere in front of Arjuna. So in that process, actually, it is given that when Lord delineates yoga system to Arjuna, means this Ashtanga yoga system, Arjuna says that the practice of this system, means Ashtanga yoga system, is not possible for him. Yeah. So this is in the 6th chapter, 33rd verse. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. So mind is always flickering. It's completely moving from one point to another point to the next point. It's constantly suggesting us things to do. So mind is restless and it's completely unsteady. So that's why Krishna, towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, of chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, is saying that yogi nam api sarvesham madgatin antaratmanam saddhavan bhajate yomam samayukta tamomata. Meaning, of all the yogis, the one with the great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Basically, Krishna's opinion is nothing but it's a topmost opinion. He's the Supreme Lord. 647 is saying this. So one who thinks of the Supreme Lord always is the greatest yogi, the supermost jnani, and the greatest of the devotee at the same time. The Lord further tells Arjuna that as a Kshatriya, he cannot give up his fighting. But if Arjuna fights remembering Krishna, then he will be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. But one must be completely surrendered in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So the essence of this message, what we discussed today, is that, we have to practice remembering Krishna while we are carrying out our prescribed duties. And if we cannot do that, and if we assume that no, if it's okay if I don't remember Krishna right now, at the time of death I will be able to do it. So according to Krishna, that is not possible, because this during these small struggles, if we remember Krishna, then we are practicing to remember Krishna at the time of the greatest struggle of life. So just think about this, and we are going to continue to discuss this topic further in our next session. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribol.